championship so close you can taste it. Side by side. And your new champion, Rasmussen. The championship so close you can taste it. Side by side. And your new champion, Rasmussen. First career victory in the USF 2000 program this morning to kick things off at 8 in the morning, but now we're set to go here. Now just about 5 minutes away from firing up the engines for the drivers here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship presented by Cooper Tires. These drivers, the second rung of the road to Indy, and the champion at the end of this season will win a scholarship to move to Indy Lights, one step away from the NTT IndyCar Series, which just came on the racetrack to fire things up. Great to see the NTT drivers, the IndyCar guys, back on the racetrack to get rolling. And so many of those drivers have worked their way through the road to Indy that all of us in the road to Indy paddock always following IndyCar and proud of the achievements of the drivers that we have with us. Actually, standing by beside me right now is a driver who had a ton of success in Indy Lights. He'll be my driver analyst today for this event. A former USF 2000 champion, former Indy Lights champion, and last year running for Aero McLaren SP. Oliver Askew joining me in the booth. Oliver, thank you so much for stopping by. A lot of fun for you driving in these cars.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Obviously, would love to be in a seat this weekend. Yep. It's hard to watch that the IndyCar practice there without being out there myself. But man, this must be the second best seat in the house.
This is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
We'll get back to Oliver in a bit, folks. Once we get racing, he'll give us some insight. Having, as I said, spent 3 years barnstorming through the road to Indy, just 1 year at each step before making the jump up to IndyCar. And I have no doubt that Oliver will have a fantastic career. Looking forward to following what he's able to do. A former Freedom 100 winner. Let's have a look at the grid right now as we are about 4 minutes away from firing the engines here for Indy Pro 2000. Let's have a look at the 17 cars. Tremendous field here in 2021 for Indy Pro. Starting in 17th position for Jay Howard Driver Development, the rookie Wyatt Prokachik in the number 5. He'll be by himself on row 9 rather. Row 8 will have second generation driver, actually third generation driver, Flynn Lazier running for Legacy Autosport. Flynn's father, Buddy, obviously a Indy 500 winner. The number 20 for Lazier starting in 16th. Alongside him, there's been a lot of issues, some mechanical issues for James Rowe Jr., the Irishman in the number 3 machine. We'll talk more about James throughout the weekend. He's put together a tremendous program to get himself on the grid this year. A couple of really strong partners with him, Trintech and Topcon. Awesome to have those companies supporting this really tremendously talented Irish driver. James going to start the turn 3 machine from the 15th position. Row number 7 on the outside for Velocity Racing Development, last year's F4 champion Hunter Yaney in the number 11. He'll start 14th alongside a former British F3 champion Anam Ahmed in the number 77 for RP Motorsports. This team coming back after winning the championship with Kyle Kirkwood a couple of years ago. Look for them to continue to get better and better throughout this season. Moving to row number 6 now on the outside, Colin Kaminsky in the number 27 for Pabst Racing starting 12th. Inside of that row, Jack William Miller in the number 40 starting 11th. Row 5, we'll see Enzo Fittipaldi in the other of the RP Motorsports machines, the 74 Fittipaldi, the rookie starting 10th. Inside of him for Abel Motorsports in the number 51 out of Kentucky, it's Jacob Abel. We'll go down to row number 4 on the outside. Kiffin Simpson, an unbelievably fast rookie driver coming up from junior karting. He has looked really good for Juncos Racing. Qualified here for race 1 in the 8th position. He'll drive the number 21 machine for Juncos. Alongside him, his young teammate Reese Gold out of Miami, Florida, a winner last year in USF 2000. Gold jumping up as a rookie this year. He'll pilot the number 55, starting P7. Row number 3 now on the outside. He's got the Road to Indy scholarship colors on the car because he's the USF 2000 champion from last year from Denmark. Christian Rasmussen for Jay Howard Driver Development. He'll start 6th here today. Tomorrow in race 2, he'll be on the pole position. A great run in qualifying for the Dane. Rasmussen starting P6. Alongside him, a race winner in USF 2000, Cameron Shields from Toowoomba, Australia, running for D-Force Racing. Solid debut for the rookie in the number 7, Shields starting P5. Moving now to row number 2, third and fourth on the grid. Both drivers race winners last year in Indy Pro 2000 as the top 4 filled with sophomore drivers. Manuel Suleiman out of Mexico in the 22 for Juncos Racing, a 1:16.394. He'll start in the 4th position alongside Hunter McElroy from Pabst Racing, who won the final race of the year, the finale at St. Petersburg last year, back with Pabst Racing. McElroy in the number 18, ready to go here to try to get on the podium or potentially go for a race win. Moving out to the front row as the engines are firing on pit lane. They've got the call to fire up these power plants, 250 horsepower. And it's an all-exclusive Autosport front row. First time in the team's history they've locked out the front row, and they did so here in Indy Pro to start the season. On the outside from St. Petersburg, Russia, with a 1:16.228, Artem Petrov for the number 42. He'll start on the outside of the front row, and the driver who won the USF 2000 championship in 2019 was able to grab a victory at Mid-Ohio last year before a nasty accident at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Out of New Albany, Ohio, it's Braden Eves in the number 91 exclusive Autosports machine. He'll start P1, a 1:16.154. So we are getting ready to fire these guys up. Eves and Petrov on row 1, McElroy and Suleiman on row 2, Shields, Rasmussen row 3, Gold and Simpson on row 4, Abel and Fittipaldi row 5, Miller and Kaminsky row 6, Ahmed and Yaney on row 7, Rowe and Lazier row 8, Prakacic by himself on row number 9. Now let's go back to my driver analyst here, Oliver Askew. Oliver, you've run a number of races here at Barber Motorsports Park. Let's talk about the opening lap here. What's it like starting from pole, starting up front here, diving into turn number 1? Because it's a downhill braking zone and climbing up the hill and through the Alabama roller coaster. Those first couple of corners, you got to have complete focus.
Well, Rob, I think it's about 90% of the corners here that are just completely blind, right?
Really?
And it's all very high speed, so passing comes at a premium, and starting from pole here is definitely an advantage. But there is some passing zones. You know, you have turn 5. You definitely want to get a good run out of turn 2 and turn 3, heading to turn 5 on the first lap. So I think that's what's going through most of these drivers' minds. You know, starting behind pole there.
Let's talk a little bit about tire management as well. We don't talk about that a lot in our sprint series. We don't run for an hour and a half. This is going to be a 30-minute race. People talking about burning up the left front. Obviously a lot. We run clockwise here, a lot of constant radius, long radius corners. How do you take care of that left front tire?
Yeah, you know, you just try to keep the wheel angle out of it, you know, and that's something that has to be in the back of your mind from lap 1. Yeah. You know, because if you roast the tires off on the first couple laps, you're not going to get them back, right? And these are, we don't have any pit stops here, so these drivers are running those Cooper tires to the cords at the end of the race. So
exactly that. And again, that kind of plays, I think, folks, at the start of the season, we often talk about the fact that the first number of races of the year really play to the sophomores, the guys that are coming back for their second year in a program or even their third year, as it was the case with Yuvan Sundar Murthy getting the win earlier today. Drivers lining up and getting set to go, folks, out of turn number 16. When they come out of 17, we'll go racing. Braden Eves and Artem Petrov on the front row. Say hello to those of you tuning into the Road to Indy TV app, USF, or their IndyPro2000.com or the Road to Indy.tv. We're ready to fire things up. Eves, Petrov, nice slow start. Coming to the line at turn number 17. Eves punching off. Green, green, green. And a good start for Eves. Push to the inside comes McElroy. He's going to be able to get by Suleiman. McElroy goes to P3. Braden Eves, though, with the lead. The exclusive Autosports cars run 1-2. First time through the Alabama roller coaster. Down the hill they come. Climbing back up. A couple of stories to turn 4. Big run down to turn number 5. A little bit of an inside run there for Eves as he does a little bit of a defensive move. Not crazy, though, and already a 2-driver breakaway. Oh, here comes Petrov to the outside. We are 2 by 2 coming down to turn 8. Petrov trying the outside of his teammate. Into turn number 8 and 9 for the first time. They'll climb the curbs, get the car rotated mid-corner. Drivers around. One driver around, able to continue. That might be Jack William Miller, and a driver further back with contact as well. A lot of dirt kicked up. That driver able to continue, but I think it might have been Jack William Miller in the red and white Miller Vinatieri Motorsports car that went around. keeping an eye on Aaron Likens, the official flagman of the Road to Indy, to see if he's going to grab for a yellow flag. So far, I think we're good. We will get a chance to have a look at the replay here of the incident happening over in turns number 8 and 9. Drivers completing the opening lap. Here it is here. You can see the opening drivers coming through. Yeah, one of the drivers just getting, I wonder if that was contact or not, because the driver in a weird kind of turn, the way the car rotated coming back onto the racetrack, and indeed I believe that was Jack William Miller. Unsure who the next driver was who spun to the back. Oliver, does the car get really light coming through that corner when you jump up over the curb like that, or is that just
extremely light? And that's one of the corners that's a corner here that's completely blind. So
yeah,
you know, it looked to me like an accordion effect there. You know, you have drivers stacking up, and you know, that was a midfield incident. So hopefully they can get that cleaned up and we can stay green here. We have a driver in pit lane looking for a front wing. But there was some contact, you know, through the opening couple of corners there. Nobody around, but you know, there could be some wing damage out there or diffuser damage.
We always try to kind of piece things together from what we can see. Kiffin Simpson coming in without a front wing. Jack William Miller went around, so you think that could have been the contact, right? As Miller's out, Enzo Fittipaldi out as well. Kiffin Simpson into pit lane to get a new wing there. The Juncos Racing team going to work on that very quickly. New wing going on, doing what they can to see if they can't keep him on the lead lap right now. But Braden Eves and Artem Petrov out to the early lead right now. So a little bit of argy-bargy on the opening circuit. Simpson still in pit lane. He's rolling out. Here comes the field right in front, the 74 of Fittipaldi. So the field will stream by. Let's see where he comes back in here as they come out of turn number 1. You can see Kiffin Simpson just starting to work his way back out here, as is Enzo Fittipaldi.
It's a great close battle here for the lead. You know, you got the first 6 cars nose to tail.
Make that 7.
Make that more than 7.
It's,
you know?
8 probably almost. Lead group goes back to the number 7 of Cameron Shields. 8 cars in that lead group. And the driver's going out here. One driver slowing coming out of turn number 5. There's an issue there. I think that's the number 11 potentially of Hunter Yaney. We'll have a look when they come back around. Jacob Abel, the fastest driver on lap number 2 with a lap of 1:19.027. Significantly quicker than the leader as Abel trying to work his way forward here. Better qualifying session for race 2 for Jacob Abel. They've really been working on that car. And interesting for Abel, and we'll talk about it a little. Ooh, we got a good battle for third. That's the fight for third now. Manuel Suleiman trying to find a way back, but I think he's through. Suleiman able to get back by Hunter McElroy. It's Suleiman and Gold.
Still side by side here for the fight for third.
That's Reese Gold on the inside. They've got to be smart. McElroy to the inside. Look at this side-by-side racing on a turn number 17. Back up the front straightaway. Reese Gold battling it out. It's actually, that's also the number 1 of Christian Rasmussen. So Hunter McElroy going backwards. Remember, he was able to get himself up into the 3rd spot. McElroy goes back into P6. There's a lot of movement here, potential damage. That might be Rasmussen going back a little bit. I'll tell you, a ton of action here right now. So up into the 4th spot now, I think, is Reese Gold, then Cameron Shields, then Hunter McElroy. The number 5 of Wyatt Prokopchik into pit lane as well. Oliver, this is what we got to see for your entire 3-year Road to Indy career, the action from up in the booth. You were behind the wheel. It's a little bit different when you're...
It's a lot more chill up here, Rob.
You think it's more chill?
Yeah, way more chill.
I don't know about that. When you were out front winning races, you were chilling. It's me up here getting screaming, calling all this stuff.
Yeah.
Eves, Petrov, Suleiman, Rasmussen, Gold. That was the top 5 last time by. A lot of action here. I was going to try to talk a little bit about Jacob Abel. We'll do more of that later on because the action is kind of what we need to focus on here.
You can see Braden Eves just starting to take control here. Like I said before the race started, just so difficult to pass. And when that driver up front has clean air, you know, you're in complete control. He's controlling the pace of this race. He's taking care of his equipment.
And Oliver, you know, one of the things too about this particular racetrack, and you know it from driving through the Road to Indy, we talk about the left front and punching the left front. You were talking about, you know, not trying to keep the wheel straight, not having to get a lot of input in the wheel, right? When you get behind a guy and you're close and you start getting that aero wash, right, because you don't have the air flowing over the front wing, that's when you're on that wheel again. It really starts to punish the tire. It's hard to pass someone here, especially if you're up under the gearbox and you really start working that left front.
Yeah, the driver in front just typically has to make a mistake, or they need to roast that left front off, and you gotta try to make a move towards the end. But yeah, when you're behind a car, there's some corners here that you have an option to kind of get some clean air on that front wing, like these long duration corners in turn 13, 14.
Just peek out a bit.
Yeah, and two and three as well. Just techniques like that. Just try to get some more put some more weight on that left front tire.
Eves out front now by 0.8 of a second, and here's a guy that was able to win a number of races in USF 2000 2 years ago. Also last year running in Indy Pro with the scholarship. Had a really horrific wreck at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when an issue happened in the left rear. Car ended up going around and just a freak the way that the car bit sideways. He was upside down, and it put him on the sidelines. That was it. A neck injury for Braden, but of course, young and able to recover quickly. Was in a cart later in the year after recovering. Got a chance to get testing. And to be able to come back, if he's able to score this victory, it'll be big for Braden Eves. Already scoring the pole as Exclusive Autosports runs 1-2. We'll see if Braden's able to put it down.
I think McElroy may have some damage to the right front of his wing there. So it could be the reason why he's shuffled back a bit. He's holding his own here in P6.
Yeah, we had a really good shot of it there. Indeed, our producers continue to try to pick up that black and white machine of Hunter McElroy. I think you're right. I think it looks like just maybe the right front wing post potentially damaged, because you can see the wing hanging down. Now let's talk about that, because we just said how tough it is here, how you beat the right front. You need that front wing to give you the turn in, all the grip you get from that from the front wing. How tough is that going to be when he's losing the wing like that? It's just going to beat those front tires up even more.
It might be okay right now, but I'll tell you what, in about 10 laps, if he does have front wing damage, he's going to be in for it.
There are, I think in the Indy Pro car now, is there a little bit of adjustment still in the car in terms of being able to change the bars?
There is not. So the only adjustment that you can make in these cars is brake bias.
Brake bias, okay.
But once you get to Indy Lights, then you have the roll bars, both front and rear, that you can adjust, which is extremely helpful.
And the brake bias isn't going to help him on those. You can't. It's going to help you on turn, and that's about it, right?
That's about it. Yeah.
So Braden Eves leading by almost a full second right now. It's Petrov second, Manuel Suleiman third. All three of those drivers won races in Indy Pro 2000 last year. Top running rookie driver right now, Reese Golden fourth. Cameron Shields, tremendous job. Single car team this year. Remember, Juncos Racing, multi-time champions. They won with Renus VK. They won with, as well, last year with Stingray Robb. They've won a lot of championships, so these guys are good. Cameron Shields with D-Force Racing, there's no other data. When they go back after a session, it's just Cameron. Can't compare anything. So for him running P5 right now, just another indication of how great this young Australian is. Shields fifth. McElroy with the damage to the wing in sixth. Anam Ahmed has worked his way up into seventh. Remember, he started deeper in the field, started back in 13th position. So Anam, the Englishman, up into the seventh in the RP Motorsport number 77. James Rowe runs eighth. A great run for him. James, he started deep in the field as well, back in the 15th spot. He's already up into eighth. Hunter Yaney ninth. And Colin Kaminsky in 10th spot. As we said, an issue for Christian Rasmussen. Looks like he is potentially still on the racetrack. Came down pit lane to make changes, but a little bit of issues for a couple of drivers, and we've seen a couple of them in pit lane. Yeah,
it looks like Manuel Suleiman here starting to drop some quick laps, a couple tenths quicker than the leaders. But we'll see once he gets to the rear wing of P2 there, it's gonna be difficult.
I was gonna say, so at the start of the race, obviously you're on fresh tires, or the fresher tires. As they start going away, what does the car feel like maybe 5 or 6 laps into a race?
Feels great.
It still feels good?
Feels pretty good. Obviously you have a full tank of fuel, so the car is not going to decelerate as good. It's not going to be as quick on the straights, and it's going to feel a little bit lazy. But these Cooper tires, they tend to hold their own through the race, if you can take care of them and if you have a good car under you. So the fuel burn usually cancels, depending on the track, usually cancels the tire wear.
Yeah, okay.
And you should be able to run quick laps at the end as well.
Simply because the car's lighter.
Yeah.
Watching lap times, as we always do, splits are important, but as Oliver said, you can catch up to a driver here. Making the pass is much more difficult. You'll get that aero wash. You'll have the issues. Right now, no real battles on the racetrack as the drivers now working their way up through 1, 2, and 3 once again. There's a good shot of the drivers. There's your top 3 drivers. The big gap back to P4 right now, and then another gap back to Cameron Shields. everybody kind of stacking up, not so much stacking up, but more closer behind Shields. We may have a battle here, as you said, though, for McElrea. Who is that? That's one of the, I believe, that's Kiffin Simpson a lap down. So Kiffin Simpson, who is
that's he's pitted.
1 lap down. He's the driver who pitted without the wing. He came out in the middle of the field, so it's not a challenge for position, although he's there.
He can still race those guys, right?
Exactly right. And listen, he's a young driver here. He's going to run 5 races this year, not the full season. So for Kiffin Simpson, getting in there, battling, showing what you've got to run with these guys is the key. Right now, 8 laps into a scheduled 25-lap event. As we are rolling 50 minutes, the max time limit here. Drivers in Indy Pro 2000 doing a tremendous job. And Braden Eves out to where he needs to be right now, and that's holding that 1 second gap. We'll look at the lap times. Again, Manuel got down into the high 117s. Now it's Braden Eves going down to a 117.6.
That's a quick lap.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: during a session, some guys are catching up for you. Can you back off a half a second to cool the tires? Like, is that something you'll do as a leader?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure. He's in complete control, and then.
How much of an effect does that have? Let's say you take it easy for a couple of laps. Is that really going to help you out for the next 5-lap, little push?
Yeah, typically.
Okay.
I remember that's something I did here in USF 2000. I had a great weekend here with Cape Motorsports back in 2017, won both races. And I knew that the driver behind me, as long as they didn't make any mistakes, there's no way they're going to get around. You know, it's not like Indy Lights where they have push to pass within a second. And so, yeah, he's just cruising out there on cruise control in P1.
And again, this is a kid. Just if you're a Road Indy follower, you remember what he was able to do. A great battle between Braden Eves and Hunter McElrea in USF 2000 2 years ago, and to be able to see what Braden did as a karter as well. Here's a guy that won major events like the Superkarts USA Pro Tour races, some big events in karting. So no stranger to leading races and winning races. So to have him out front like this as a champion already, he's going to be able to settle in and get the job done. And that's, I think, an interesting thing, Oliver. And I talk to a lot of parents about this. They try to rush their kids through the sport. They want to jump them up. They want to be the youngest in this level, or they've run a couple years of USF 2000. They haven't won a race yet, but they think, he's ready to move up to Indy Pro 2000. One thing I always advocate is let your son or daughter learn how to lead races, maybe lose a lead and go back and get it, because the mindset of running up front and racing for a win is much different than running 5th, 6th, or 7th.
Very different. And hopefully they get to learn some of that in karts as well.
Agreed.
Before they even come close to entering the road to Indy. So, I entered quite late. I think I was 18 or 19. Typically you see drivers enter USF 2000 around 15 or 16,
or
right?
14.
So 14.
Yeah.
That's super young. But no, you spoke about Hunter McElrea and Braden Eves, 2 drivers that did very well at the USF 2000 shootout in 2000.
That's right.
I think it was 18. I was there, helping and judging, and then those are 2 drivers that did very well and have a bright future ahead of them.
I agree. I think both drivers, one young American, one American-born Australian / New Zealand. We always laugh about how we're going to call Hunter McElrea, but again, as Oliver said, to be able to be out front, to get a chance to win here, and I actually use you a lot, Oliver, as an example, because a lot of parents want to bring their kid into USF 2000 when he's 14 years of age. I think 14, 15 works if you're a top-level kart racer at that level. Otherwise, as you did, waited a little bit longer, and I think it worked perfectly for you because you were a mature guy at that point when you came racing, and you were able to get the job done.
Yeah.
Watching the battle further back again, Cameron Shields still running in that 5th position as you see the drivers working their way through Turn 5, Charlotte's Web here at Barber Motorsports Park. I'll tell you, one thing we're pretty happy about is we expected potential rain here on Saturday. When we were coming into the weekend, everybody, I think, was looking at the forecast. When we got here on Thursday, I think it was 60% chance of rain. We're good right now, which is nice. 66 degrees here trackside. Yeah, it's cloud cover, but we're looking at sunny and 70 tomorrow. Perfect for the final 2 rounds of both Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Lights, and of course the main event with the NTT IndyCar Series. 2 more races still to come here for the road to Indy. Right after this event for Indy Pro 2000, we'll go into the first of 2 Indy Lights races. 13 drivers set to go in the Indy Lights Grand Prix of Alabama, presented by Cooper Tires. And then later on this afternoon, green flag at 3:50 for the second of the 2 USF 2000 mains. They'll wrap up their experience here at Barber today, and then look forward to the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Oliver, you're a Florida kid out of Jupiter. How important was it for you to do well at St. Petersburg?
Well, that's where my my whole family, my whole entourage comes out, and friends and family from Jupiter come out to support me. So that's always a fun race and a track that I absolutely love.
I remember though that when you first came into USF 2000, and I was so proud of you because you had the mindset coming in that first weekend, top 5.
Yeah.
If I'm top 5, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
I'm pretty humble, right? I'm not going to tell you I'm going to go out there and win the thing.
Yeah.
Deep down, I knew that I had the car and the speed to do it, and we put ourselves in a position to win the race. And I remember there was I was running second to Parker Thompson, who had a lot of USF 2000 experience.
Indeed.
I was expecting this guy to put up a big fight, and he did throughout the championship. And there was a restart, and that inside lane heading into turn 1 is always super dirty at St. Pete, and he slipped a little bit wide, and I got to the lead and never looked back there. So I was just thinking to myself, it's awesome to see these guys make their first Road to Indy start this weekend, and first USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, Indy Lights start. It's really cool to see. You remember what it was like, right? You've done a lot of stuff, whether it be everything you did in IndyCar last year, what you're able to do in some sports car races that you've run so far. But you think back to that first Road to Indy start and how cool it was to be on the grid and eventually, as you said, on top of the podium. It's surreal. It's a special time. Yeah,
it is surreal. Yeah.
And I remember watching the Indy cars and thinking, that looks so far away, and the cars looked massive compared to the USF 2000 cars, and it was only a couple years later where I got to test one for the first time.
Exactly. Again, joining me here in the booth right now, a former USF 2000, former Indy Lights champion, Oliver Askew. And again, Oliver continuing to work on his career. We'll look forward to watching what he's able to do throughout the 2021 season and how his career progresses in the years beyond. Up front right now, it's a 1.6 second lead for Braden Eves as he's been able to pull away from his teammate Artem Petrov. Artem with a similar gap on Manuel Suleiman, so the two exclusive Autosport cars. They were really focused in the spring training event. We were here a couple of weekends ago, and they were focused on, race simulation, long runs. They wanted to make sure they were going to have a really good race car. Let's actually jump into a quick battle. Hunter Yaney, we just saw them go by. Hunter Yaney is scrapping it out big time right now with Colin Kaminsky, I believe. Yeah, I think that's Kaminsky. So, yeah, Kaminsky in the 27 and Yaney in the number 11. That's the scrap for 9th and 10th. Yaney's a rookie. Kaminsky's, of course, been coming up and got super strong. They got a good battle right now, as you can see. Kaminsky trying around the outside there. This is some really good racing.
I noticed Kaminsky had a tough start there. He went by us in the grass, so I'm not sure what happened there on the front straightaway as the green flag dropped, but definitely not where he wants to be at the moment.
We'll keep an eye on the battle here that we see. James Rose worked his way up into 8th, and Ahmed, as I said, up into 7th. We're past the halfway point now, 11 laps remaining into this event. It's a 1.6 second lead for Braden Eves. Some good battles still mid-pack. And it's about hounding a driver, and I think we talk a lot about the fact it is really hard to pass. Turn 5 is the primary passing opportunity, Oliver, but to make a pass here, really it's more of a driver versus driver battle. You got to make sure that if you're putting a pressure on the guy, you're doing it hardcore to push them into that mistake. That's going to be your best time to overtake.
You want to be all over their mirrors, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that this guy's looking in his mirrors every corner to see where you're at, and that's where you can make them drop a wheel or make a quick mistake. But I mean, this top 3 here is beginning to stretch out. So.
Well, and shout out to Reese Gold. He's the rookie driver looking good now. Again, we're watching the fact that Kiffin Simpson, the 21, still staying right there, but he is that lap back. And Ahmed has got a driver between he and Hunter McElroy. And in fact, even with the damage on McElroy, if you look at his last lap time, he did a 108 flat. He did a 108 flat, a 118 flat, exactly the same as Cameron Shields. So McElroy, can you drive around an issue like that? Is there something? He's probably burning the tires off, like you said, but with that front wing damage, what can you do to be able to make the car still perform?
You definitely want to trail the brake in further into the corner and a bit lighter, just to keep some weight on that front tire. And there's there's only one adjustment you can make in the car, and that's brake bias. So you can use a little bit more rear brake bias to kind of back the car into the corner, but
that's for the slower corners though, too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, there's not really much you can do. He's a bit handcuffed here at the moment.
You got to wheel it. And he's pushing hard as he works his way up the straightaway. There's a shot again, folks, of the drivers coming out of turn number 17, back up the front straightaway here at Barber Motorsports Park. The Augusta National of Motorsports. The minute you pull into this racetrack to come down the long, winding road, you just know you're somewhere special. This place is always manicured perfectly. We always send a big thank you out to Mr. George Barber for putting this fantastic facility together. Originally designed for motorcycles, but it has become the home of the Road to Indy and the NTT IndyCar Series as well. We love being here. Drivers like Oliver Askew have been able to be strong here. Actually, Americans have been pretty good here. Joseph Newgarden has won a couple of times here as well, that's for sure.
I think he had his first IndyCar race win here.
I think you're right. And has won here a couple of times. Of course, just up the road in Nashville, Tennessee. It was where Joseph calls home. Another Indy Lights champion who has worked his way into the NTT IndyCar Series.
Great to see fans here as well.
Oh,
a fan favorite track, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
well, 25,000 tickets, and they sold out. It's going to be a great day here on Sunday for sure. 8 laps remaining for Braden Eves. 2.1 seconds now the lead over his teammate Artem Petrov. We'll watch as they work their way by us here on start-finish, but those of you at home watching the shot coming out of turn 16 and 17. The elevation changes, I think you can kind of see them on camera, but Oliver, they are a lot bigger when you're in the race car. Even when you go the track walk's crazy.
Yeah. You find these little references, right, on the side of the track, whether it's a curb or a mark on the road that you can use to make sure that you hit those blind apexes every single lap.
And that's key, right? I talked about this yesterday a bit, about when you break it down to simplicity for a driver just getting in. Let's say they're at the Lucas Oil School of Racing and they're just learning how to drive. There's your turn-in point, your apex, and your exit point. You unwind the wheel at the apex to get to your exit point. But for a race car driver at your caliber, and even here in Indy Pro 2000, it's not just 3 points, right? It's lots of different points you're trying to hit in a corner.
We got a driver on pit lane here, the number 3. I think that's James Rowe.
Yeah, James Rowe is having a tremendous run up into 8th position after starting deep in the field. Oh, I feel bad for James Rowe. Wow, he has shown so well coming forward as he did. Had some issues. Rowe in the Trintec Topcon Turn 3 Motorsport machine. Team looks like they potentially could be pulling off the rear cowl, some kind of an issue at the tail of the car. Nonetheless, James Rowe once again showing what he's got. He'll press the reset button and come back tomorrow to try to get the result that he's deserved. Eves still up top by 2.5 seconds. Look at this group coming up the front straightaway. That's Hunter Yaney, Jacob Abel, and Flynn Lazier, I believe, as they work their way up through the corners here. We'll try to get them when they come back around. That's 3 drivers lined up pretty nicely. They'll come out of the corner. Actually, that's the number 40 of Jack William Miller. He's a lap down, but he's still in that fight. I said Flynn Lazier, but it's actually Jack William Miller in the number 40 battling with Jacob Abel. He's down a lap. Hunter Yaney in front of them running 9th. Jacob Abel in 10th. Jack William Miller back in 15th overall. Lap back, having come into pit lane. But he's going at it, trying to get by Abel.
Yeah, James Rowe getting back rolling here on pit lane. It looked like a transmission issue that they were able to fix there with the Turn 3 Motorsports guys. A new resident to the Indianapolis area, James Rowe is.
James Rowe, that's right. Well, that's what happens. These guys come from wherever they are. Dublin, Ireland, Copenhagen, Denmark for Christian Rasmussen. They end up finding an apartment somewhere in Carmel or whatever it may be. And I just hope all those guys stay out of trouble, race car drivers. And I don't like when they get together. I'd like to keep them isolated because trouble can brew.
Have you ever met an Irishman that's not funny?
Or trouble. And I
didn't say that.
Think about Turn 3 Motorsports, Peter Dempsey.
Oh, yeah.
Again, like you, a former Freedom 100 winner.
Combo.
It's a great combo. Irish team. So many drivers, folks, that have come up through the ranks have had a chance to go over to England to race and Formula Ford, and many of them have done it with Peter's dad, Cliff Dempsey Racing.
Enom putting some pressure here on the lap car.
Yeah, it's Kiffin Simpson, right?
Yeah, and then also Hunter McElroy. Enom, not surprising that he was able to make his way up towards the front of the pack there over the first couple laps. A lot of open wheel experience in Europe from him.
And I don't think he's showing what he's worth yet, right?
No.
He just came over here. He did some testing.
A last-minute deal, right?
Same thing with RP Motorsport. They're going to get back to where they were 2 years ago, winning the championship with Kyle Kirkwood. I think Anam's going to really dial things in. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. He's worked his way up to 7th position. And like you said, first he's got to get by Kiffin Simpson if he wants to battle for the position. And I'm sure he's on the radio saying, hey, this guy's a lap down. Why is he in front of me? Get him to let me by, because he wants to go at it with what we know is a wounded Hunter McElroy, damage to the right front of that wing. And in fact, Kiffin Simpson able to get by. So Kiffin, the lap car, able to get by McElroy. And that's the battle we're watching right there, the white and green car of Kiffin Simpson, a lap down. He's going to get by McElroy and check out. Here comes Anam Ahmed in the RP Motorsport number 77.
He's going to make a move here in turn 5.
Big dive down the outside, trying to get the car to rotate. Oh, what a solid pass. Anam Ahmed around the outside, the Englishman going now to P6. And that was exactly the place to do it, Oliver. We talked about the damage to the car. He would have to trail brake. Hunter would have to trail brake to get the car to rotate, but without that front wing downforce, you could see that Anam was able to run around the outside.
That's exactly it. And you know, outside moves around this track, they're you can definitely make it happen.
You can do it, right?
You can definitely do it. So
talk about that corner try on the outside, because you're too wide in the corner, it kind of flattens out.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a lot you have to really run out the outside of the corner.
Right, but it's easy for the guy on the inside to run you out off the track as well.
We've seen
that before.
So
you really need to present yourself there on the outside of the track,
as he did,
and get a nose on the guy on the inside so that they control the corner a bit easier.
Yeah, I always say when you own the apex, you own the exit, right? And for Anam to be able to be around the outside, it really did have almost a quarter of the car, if not more than a quarter of a car at the apex. Hunter was not able then to drive him out to the apex, as you had said. We've got laps winding down, 4 laps to go, so probably time to put the focus a little more on the driver coming up front here. Braden Eves, 3.6 seconds as the leader right now.
Picking up right where he left off.
And
great to see that he's back after his injury.
That's what we're going to go with that for sure. But let's track record yesterday for qualifying, and he has broken the race lap record already as well. Parker Thompson held both of those records from back in 2018. A 1:18.4 was the race record. His fast time a 1:17.2. So 1.4 seconds quicker. Now we've had a repave at the track here since then, so
it makes a difference.
There is a bit of grip, yeah. But still, congratulations right now so far to Braden Eves. But as we said, you don't say anything right now. He's got laps to go, 4 to go, putting it down nicely. Artem Petrov second, Exclusive Autosport P1 and P2. Juncos Racing in 3rd and 4th with Manuel Suleiman and Reese Gold. It's been a really strong run forward for Anam Ahmed. He runs in the 6th spot, but he's about 2.5 seconds behind Cameron Shields, who's running very strongly P5. McElroy trying to hold on here in 7th. Colin Kaminsky 8th, so the Pabst Racing drivers 7th and 8th now. Hunter Yaney in 9th and Jacob Abel 10th. 22 laps in the books, 3 laps remaining. And again, we will go right here, straight down to victory lane, from victory lane right into driver introductions. We're pretty close on time. I'm supposed to be doing victory lane, Tatis victory lane, but I may have to end up going straight out. But if we go green to checker, we're going to be okay on time, because again, we get set to go with driver start your engines and the intro at 12:05. We're still a long way from that. So Indy Lights driver is going to start off their season. And Oliver, I know you're obviously a big fan of the Indy Lights program. It propelled you, obviously, to the championship and eventually into the IndyCar program. How excited are you to see 13 cars on the grid?
Very excited. A healthy grid here, full of talent. And we're a lot of drivers making their first start in the Indy Lights Championship as well, which is always exciting. So drivers who haven't done a race stint yet. You know, there wasn't much testing in the winter, so a lot of learning here being done today. One
thing, we've got time here because there's a couple laps left. Just a quick thought. 5-second difference from USF 2000 to Indy Pro here, 5 seconds from Indy Pro to Indy Lights. How much different is it going from the Indy Pro car to the Indy Lights car in terms of the physicality?
You know, there's not much difference from USF to Indy Pro because, you know, it's the same chassis, bigger engine, more downforce, right? But then you get to a bigger chassis, much closer to the Indy car. But still, you have that the same lap time jump between the 3 levels, and that's what's really nice about the road to Indy right now is that it's pretty easy to get used to each car.
I like that.
You know, it took me a couple laps.
Yeah, okay, that easy. All right, folks, we are getting ready to wrap things up here now. Well, 2 laps remaining for Braden Eves out front. 4.1 seconds the lead for the driver from New Albany, Ohio. Connected with the Meyer Shank Racing program, and Michael Shank actually got a chance to drive their virtual car in the IndyCar iRacing Challenge earlier this year, and looking to try to score a victory here to start off the 2021 season. Eves, Petrov, Suleiman, Golden Shields, the top 5. White flag flying this time by. Again, Cambridge Global Payments, a new sponsor on the side there. Actually, not a new sponsor, a renewed sponsor from last year. And
this is a feel-good lap right here for Braden Eves.
What does the last lap feel like when you're leading the race?
Just chills.
I was going to say,
just chills.
Are you listening to the car? Do you get worried about listening to stuff happening in the car?
No, not really.
All right.
You know, it's made it this far.
One more lap, please. Out of turn number 5, you see him rolling back out to the apex and through to the exit. Braden Eves now working his way over to turn number 8 and 9 to cap off the first race of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Again, a 2019 USF 2000 champion, 2017 champion sitting beside me to my right here in the Cooper Tire Broadcast Center. Ask you, won the championship. Eves, and a fellow karter as well, who did so well in all the different programs in karting. Final lap, trying to get it done here now. Artem Petrov running in second. Could it be a 1-2 for Exclusive Autosport? Michael Duncalf down here on pit lane with the crew. Coming out of turn number 16 to 17. Folks, he was upside down to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last Labor Day. He comes back with a victory at Barber Motorsports Park. Braden Eves winning the opening round of Indy Pro 2000. What a recovery from the injury, the horrific wreck at IMS, the time he put in wearing a neck brace for 2 months, getting back behind the wheel of a race car in a kart first in the offseason, then testing again with Exclusive Autosport. This is retribution, folks. This is coming back. Oliver, he had a championship season going, but for him to have that issue, the disappointment, will I ever be able to race again? And he comes back to get a win. Can be no better feeling.
No better feeling at all. You know, coming back from an injury like that is difficult. And what a horrific incident there.
It was.
So really happy for him and Michael Duncalf.
You can see him down there, right down in front of us right now, and I can see Michael Duncalf has got the hand on the headset, so he's no doubt talking to Braden on the radio. Folks, let's have a look at the finishing positions here today. What a tremendous drive as these guys get their way back around to the Tatis victory lane. Braden Eves with the win, the margin of victory, 4.27 seconds. Artem Petrov second. It's a 1-2 for Exclusive Autosports, and a feel-good story for Braden Eves. Manuel Suleiman, he and Reese Gold from Juncos Racing putting the rest of the field on notice as well. They're ready to battle for a championship. Gold, the top rookie, right ahead of Cameron Shields and Anam Ahmed. Gold 4th, Shields 5th, Ahmed in the 6th spot from deep in the field. Tremendous run for the Englishman in the number 77 for RP Motorsport USA. Hunter McElroy holding on to 7th, even with the damaged wing. Colin Kaminsky, his teammate, 8th. Jacob Abel coming home 9th. Flume Lazier in 10th. Hunter Yaney ends up 11th. Kiffin Simpson in 12th. Enzo Fittipaldi 13th. Issues for Christian Rasmussen early put him down a lap, as did Wyatt Brikacek. We know that there was Brikacek rather. We know that there was an issue with James Rowe. He only goes down a lap, having worked his way up to 8th. And Jack William Miller, a couple laps back as well. There's your top 10. Eves, Petrov, Suleiman, Gold, and Shields top 5. Ahmed, McElroy, Kaminsky, Abel, and Lazier to cap it off. And there he is, folks. You think about the emotion for this young man here right now. There's Michael Duncalf, his team owner. Michael and Kimberly Duncalf, the owners of Exclusive Autosport. Braden Eves will unbuckle, and you just think about the emotions of him being in a hospital bed last year and then coming back to where he is now to win his first race. This, you can't undersell how big of a confidence boost this is for this young American to be able to do it. And look at this, the absolute jubilation of victory to start the season. Folks, we're going to head down to Tatis Victory Lane right now. The Exclusive Autosport team will celebrate a 1-2. Rick Green, that was a lot of fun. Oliver, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah,
we'll have you up here again. That was awesome. Great insight. Rick Green, I'll head down there. Pretty good stuff.
Great race, great time. We'll be going down to Rob in just a moment.
It feels good. This is my first, first weekend back after my bad crash, and to start off, straight off in P1, amazing. Fantastic start to the season. It's exactly what you want here. It's so hard to pass here, so being on the pole position is just extremely valuable. We got another qualifying in a couple hours, so I'm going to try and do the same thing again to lock out the poles for both races. But, fantastic job by my Exclusive Autosport team. They did such a fantastic job. Congrats to my teammate as well. He was P2. First ever Exclusive Autosport front row lockout, so really proud to be a part of that, and just a fantastic team.